And yeah, so every week, 9 a.m. And for those of you that it's your first time, what we do here is we have entrepreneurs come up every week and speak about their company, and us as the entrepreneur community answer their questions and give helpful feedback. Our partners back there are Alex Golombiewski, Ben, Randy, and Matthew, and my name is Intuna. And this morning we have our first presenter, Offerboxx. Oh, I'm sorry, before I forget, we're also doing something a little different. We're taking questions, and if you look at the pound sign there, we're fielding questions through that. So those will have priority. So go ahead, if anything you hear Andy talk about in his presentation, go ahead and tweet that. But this morning, our first presentation is Offerboxx. Offerboxx offers digital promotions in physical locations by connecting brands and retailers with local customers. And so let's thank Offerboxx.
Thanks. Awesome. Good morning, guys. I'm glad to be here to talk to you. As he said, my name is Andy, and I'm with Offerboxx. And we've previously presented at 1 Million Cups at a time when our product was really early in its concept. So I'm glad to be here again to kind of give you a refresher on what we're doing now to help brands and retailers reach their customer in physical places. So to be able to do that, we need to really go back to about the mid-90s. This is about the time when e-commerce really started taking shape, and companies like eBay and Amazon started selling everything and anything online. From then until now, a lot of technology has been really developed for online retailers to target, acquire, and retain their customers, leaving offline retail technology falling behind. So this is where Offerboxx sees an opportunity to help offline retailers market better and reach their customers in store. And we're aiming to help them do a lot of things, but one of the things we're aiming to do can be summed up with this jingle: make new friends, but keep the old. One is silver and the other is gold. Now this is something we may have learned as kids, but online retailers do really well. They put a big focus on retaining customers and doing things to help them come back and make repeat purchases. This is something really important to online retailers because about 41% of their sales come from repeat business. And they understand the benefit of keeping the old because it costs 5 to 10 times more to acquire a new customer than it does to just market to the old one. So about 100%, or close to that, of online retailers have a way to collect information from people, right? Forms or online submissions that allow them to gather stuff that lets them build a relationship with their customer through email marketing or text message marketing. And only about 50% of offline retailers attempt to do that. And they're left with methods like pen and paper that make it really difficult to do any kind of thing with the data, put it together to use it for later marketing purposes. So Offerboxx is solving this problem. And I guess you could say we're like the online submission form, but for physical places. Let me tell you how it works. Offerboxx goes into retail locations and sets up iPad-based kiosks with our proprietary software. And then we work with brands to sponsor a prize. That way we incentivize people to sign up and make it cheaper for retailers to run promotions like this in their store. This also helps brands reach an audience in physical places. That way they can send a message or push their product to people who they may not otherwise be able to reach. And retailers get the benefit of additional foot traffic from the promotion, and Offerboxx telling people their location is the place to go and enter. They also get all the marketing data that's collected to use for later marketing purposes. And then retailers and brands can optionally send out an SMS or email through our product, reaching a customer with their first marketing message and helping them to either increase sales or offer a deal that incentivizes the sign up. So I hope I helped you understand what Offerboxx is doing now. And to kind of give you a little filler on where we were when we presented before, Offerboxx in its early days was really focused on just building the software. We were going to recommend product hardware to use and maybe how to use the product, but looking at kind of the small business and their ability to set up promotions and have the time or the money to do that, we looked at how can we build kind of a beginning to end solution for them, where we go and we take care of the hardware setup, we take care of bringing in the brands, setting up and running the promotion, promoting it for them, and just driving traffic and signups to their store. So that's Offerboxx in a nutshell for you. If we have any questions, I'm willing to take those. Anything coming in on Twitter, guys?
As Intuna said, we are taking questions via Twitter. We're going to be doing this in the future, and those will be prioritized. My first question is, how large is your current network?
So at this time, we've just been focused on running short-term betas. We spent the last 7 months after the pivot revamping the product and the hardware and the back-end system for us. And so we focused on running some short-term promotions in events and retail spaces that just tested, does this work? Do people want to enter their information? And do they enjoy getting the benefit? Does the retailer see value? So at this point, we're actually looking to kind of build that network out and run a larger scale, longer-term beta.
Okay, first question here in the front.
Andy, during your presentation, you said that one of the things that you do is you connect the brands that are needed for the product. Mm-hmm. Can you explain what you mean by that and how it affects the merchants and their customers?
Sure. So there are situations where a brand may sell a product in a physical retail store, and this helps them kind of co-promote with that retailer. So if they have a product that they want to push, either make people aware of it or push a deal out to that customer in the store, they can do that. They can also reach an audience that's similar to their customer type. So maybe they don't have a product in the store, maybe they don't even really sell products to or through that kind of retailer, but the customer type matches their customer type, and they want to reach them with a message that then allows them to co-market or cross-promote.
Okay, we have a question from Twitter. This comes from Dustin. How is this different than a loyalty card, and does it replace them?
So it's a good question, and we actually focus on really not being a loyalty system. So for us, loyalty means as a retailer, you make a commitment to your customer to always provide a deal, always have an offer. So if you set up a loyalty program today, you're promising that's going to keep going forever. What we are is we're kind of a month-by-month promotion that you're not promising the same thing. Customers aren't necessarily incentivized to come back through getting incremental points, but bigger opportunities for an instant purchase or an instant deal.
Oh, question over here.
So I've been to your website, and it seems like you're focused on Tulsa right now. And the challenging part of a business-to-consumer product, I guess this is more of a business-to-business product, is that you need a lot of salespeople to visit these places in person, and especially when you have a physical product. Being a startup, what's your strategy for visiting those places where your potential customers, and what does your revenue look like, and how do you sell this product to the customer? Do they buy the iPad? What does that all look like?
Cool. Yeah, great questions. Got a few there, so I'll start with the first one about how we attack the market and how we sell. So we're really modeling ourselves after two successful businesses who've sold physical, hardware and software into retailer restaurants, and that's the Belly Card. I don't know if you've heard of them. They're actually a loyalty program, and then the other one's Open Table. And they both originally tried to go national with their product and scale it up, and they were having a difficult time marketing it through, sources like the internet. So they built a sales force, and they grew salespeople kind of one at a time as needed, and grew city by city. So that's our focus, is really focusing on city by city and even pockets of Tulsa at first, that we can go in and talk to retailers and brands and help them understand the value of working together in their area to drive traffic there. And then the other question was? Okay. So revenue comes from two streams, from the retailer and the brand. So with the retailer, we actually have a monthly revenue model. So they just pay a same monthly fee over and over to have this kiosk sit in their store and collect data off of it. And then brands pay based on promotion length, size of the promotion, how many locations they want to reach. We actually take all the hardware into the store and build that into the monthly price. So they're not paying up front for it. They're not having to fork over, a big hefty fee. We just make that back over time by keeping them happy and keeping the business working. So.
All right, we have some more questions from Twitter. This one comes from Wes. Are there opportunities to expand beyond tangible products and into the service industry?
In terms of promoting those, if that's what we're talking about, in terms of promoting products that are not physical goods in the store, We have plans to work with service-type industries, so people in maybe vacation spots, if they want to try to market their product, running a promotion through the kiosk to send people to, sign up to win a vacation and then get an email that pushes them to maybe their website to learn about it. So,
All right, we have a question in the back here.
My question was around the revenue model, but since he's kind of got that out there, he also touched on the expense of delivering these things to the store. Do you have any grasp on what your customer acquisition cost is going to be and how you're going to return? I mean, how many months is it going to take to become profitable after you pay a salesman a commission and drop hardware off and all the stuff that's, tied into a physical presence at a store?
right, yeah, and you're right. I mean, that's a challenge from any, even kind of software as a service model, right? You're reducing your costs so you can get it into the location. We have the added cost of hardware, salespeople, setup. So the cost that we're looking at, we've done a business model structure. We probably won't and haven't found everything that we're going to run into. But yeah, we're able to, charge around $150 a month to get this into a store, recoup the cost of our hardware and equipment, well under a year. I don't want to put out, actual numbers there, but well under a year, and become actually profitable monthly within about 12 months. Now we've still got, the annual losses that have added up that we won't get back for a little while, but hopefully with some funding we can grow the business, grow the revenue, and recoup that money quickly. So.
All right, I have a follow-up question from Twitter. Do you have any stats on the percentage of customers that actually sign up at the kiosk? And can you track an offline funnel?
So we have run some tests that allow us to measure, how many people in this room or in a room who've had an opportunity to sign up have. The smaller events we've gone to, that's been easier to measure. So we've done some trade shows and we've done some retail stuff where people did some grand openings. And we've seen anywhere from 10 to 40% of the room sign up and take advantage of a coupon. So there was 20% off being offered if they signed up and used that coupon today. Bigger trade shows, that number's really hard to figure out. We've done some larger ones. So we've seen enough signups that the booth is happy for what they've gotten, and they really appreciated not having to take a business card or write down information on paper. So.
Okay, I have another question from Twitter. Are you utilizing or looking into utilizing Offerboxx for a point-of-sale system for customers and satisfaction surveys?
So the point-of-sale piece, no. There's a lot of competition out there, and I just don't think we need to move into that realm of point-of-sale. The survey piece is something that we've talked about doing and want to do in the future. It's not built in currently, but we feel like we could have an entry point where you enter to win something or get a deal and do, a short, what we call a micro survey, maybe 1 to 2 questions just to get a heartbeat of what your customer's feeling about your brand right now.
All right, another question that came in via Twitter. Are you utilizing or looking into utilizing Offerboxx for point-of-sale customer satisfaction surveys, such as in restaurants?
We do see this as a value for restaurants. We may not be setting up a kiosk per se somewhere in the restaurant. We really feel like this is a great opportunity for a server at the end of a check to drop off a tablet and say, hey, would you mind filling this out to sign up for a deal or a free dessert, or maybe enter to win a year worth of something from our restaurant, and then having a satisfaction survey that helps them measure how'd the server do, how was the food, things that a restaurant owner would want to know but doesn't really know unless they're going to each table and asking that customer how are things going.
All right, we have a question here in the back.
Hi, sorry I was a couple minutes late, but I looked at your website and you're one of my friend's clients. I was just wondering, what's kind of the end game here? So is it the end game is that I would be in every retailer in the city of Tulsa, or what is like the dream for Offerboxx world domination?
Awesome question. So yes, we want to work in Tulsa first. We're here in Tulsa. We feel like we can really grow the product here, test it, market it. And then from there, we do want to scale city by city and choose the next points, with purpose. So maybe Oklahoma City, it's close. From there, where do we go? Where's the next big hub that we feel like would adopt this? So maybe Austin or Chicago or somewhere that has adopted technology products like this more rapidly. But where we can drop a sales team, hire some people, and really grow again. So yeah, nationwide, that's the goal.
I know another question from Twitter. What has the funding journey been so far?
So at this point, we were part of the I2E immersion program, which led to about $38,000 in funding for us, and we've survived on that and still have some of that left. So we are interested in raising funding. We're starting to work on the things necessary to do that, but right now we're really trying to position ourselves with the product and customers, so we are in a better position to go in and raise funding from investors.
I have a question. Can you talk more about your team and the different roles you play and how you guys came together?
Sure. So I was the original founder of Offerboxx, and I've gone through some business partners in the past where, joined up with some people and you were working on this for some time, and after a while you're not seeing things happen. So, some of my co-founders in the past have moved on, but we've brought on some awesome individuals. One's Darren Applegate. He is right now in South Africa working to coach and mentor other entrepreneurs there to grow their business. So he does that trip about once a year. He's done it over the last 4 years, and he's gone for about 3 months, so we miss him right now. But he's really managing a lot of our sales and marketing, online blog. We've got my friend Philip Berger, which is a phenomenal developer. That was probably the biggest assumption that I went through as an entrepreneur who didn't really build technology, is that other developers, when I go and I find them, they're going to be naturally entrepreneurial because they like to build things. Well, that's not always the case, So finding Philip took some time, but grabbing that guy, and he's moved right along with the product and gotten us to where we are today. And then I myself kind of fill in the gaps everywhere else. So doing pitches, doing a lot of legal stuff, accounting, helping to kind of design the product. So I do some graphic design work, just many hats.
Another question from Twitter. Who is your ideal customer?
So right now, the ideal customer for me is the local business and potentially just the retail side of that. There are larger businesses, so like big box stores that are omni-channel. They have an online and an offline. We're really looking for that retailer who doesn't get a lot of online traffic. Their main focus is their store. They may have a Facebook account or something, but how do they get up to speed with being able to reach their customer, build those relationships, and build repeat business?
All right, another question that's come in via Twitter. What are some of the biggest startup lessons you've learned in the past year?
Oh man, that's some good ones. There's so many lessons that I've learned. I honestly am so thankful for just the journey that I've been on. One of the biggest things was the team and building that and making sure that you've got the right team together. It's said often, but ideas don't matter as much as execution. And you have this idea and you decide you're going to do it, and you kind of don't realize how difficult it really could be to get up off the couch and make something happen. And then building relationships. I mean, that's been a key thing for me, is just reaching out to other entrepreneurs, other people in the community. It's really easy to be timid and sit back and feel like, well, no one's going to be interested in helping you, and they've got more important things to do. But there really is a lot of people in Tulsa and in this community who are interested in helping people move their business forward. So that's something to take advantage of.
Another question from Twitter. Do you help customers craft their offer, and can you do that at scale?
So yes, the reason that we're building the beginning to end solution is so that Offerboxx can help manage that process. Originally, it was build the software, give it to them, let them figure out what to do with it. In this scenario, we're going to work directly with brands, and they may actually do a lot of the creative work on their own or have an agency that does that. But at scale, we're able to remotely launch those offers in multiple places. So we have several kiosks set up. Brand has access to a list of those kiosks and customer types. They can choose the promotion they want to run. We make sure that they're non-competing and that doesn't conflict with that retailer. And then from our desk, we can load that promotion up and launch it into those retail spaces.
Another question coming in via Twitter. If you had the funding you seek, what would you spend it on first?
Well, the biggest thing for us right now is we're all 3 part-time founders. We want to be full-time. We've all made that commitment to each other that When we get to a place of revenue or funding where we can, we're all jumping in with 2 feet. So that's the goal, is to get funding, go full time. From there, the money, really a big portion of it goes to funding some hardware. So we can launch this and get it scaled up into many retail places. I think that's the key for us, is getting screens in many places, and then we can get some brands interested in reaching those customers too.
Another question from Twitter. This one comes from Tom. Try to say Tom and Twitter at the same time. How do you ID and approach prospects?
Prospects in terms of, I'm guessing, the customer.
New
Okay.
customers.
So, I mean, at this point, we're using services like Chambers to talk to them about who their customers are and people they may recommend. We really just, know our local area right now, so we kind of know some of the businesses in town that we need to go talk to. Future way of doing that would be, learn who in Tulsa has accepted the product, learn our customer segment here, and then duplicate that over city by city and find customers that are similar to the ones who have found value in Tulsa.
Right, question over here in the back.
All right, I have 2 points of feedback for you if you're open to it.
Awesome, yeah, thanks.
Number one, I tried to enter my info on your kiosk and it kept giving me a little error message, but it was so fast I couldn't read that it was an error message, so I kept hitting submit, so I might be on your list like 15 times.
Awesome.
And then the second is on your website, this is just my opinion, but when I go to the pricing tab, you say pricing is coming soon. And I don't know how many people make it all the way to the pricing tab on your website, but I think you should maybe just put a number out there, even if it's a little high. And then Dustin had a good idea. He said, put a high number out there and then say, but for you, it's free right now. So that way it's not just, hey, pricing is coming soon. It's this ambiguous thing as even a restaurant owner. I have no idea how much this would even cost. So if you could educate me a little bit when I get to your pricing tab, even if it is high, and then now it makes everybody feel like a win-win because you're saying actually it's for you because you made it all the way to our pricing tab.
Awesome.
It's free.
Yeah, I really appreciate the
just a
feedback.
thought.
And we're on pace with that. We have just been in debate about where to land on that, that pricing. Because, pricing is kind of an art and a guesswork, I guess, at this point. So we're working out that strategy, and we landed on a number, and we're ready to just kind of throw that out there. And obviously, pricing may change. But thanks for the feedback.
We have another question that's come in via Twitter. Have you considered using a more cost-effective piece of hardware? iPads seem expensive.
Yeah, iPads are on the market as one of the higher priced items. There are other tablets that range the same or could be less. And really our goal is when we get a piece of hardware in a store, we want to leave it there, right? We want to put in something that we and the business trust that's going to last. And we want to make sure that we understand the hardware and the technology we're using blend together well. So I'm a trusting person in Apple and their products. There are some other products out there that we may be able to move to in the future, things that we can actually source ourselves. But for now, this is something that we feel like we can trust when we get it into a store that's going to last and it's going to do its job.
Can you walk me through your sales process? So from how a customer reaches you and then how how the iPad ends up, or the kiosk ends up in their retail
Sure.
location?
So a lot of our focus will be put on outside sales. We've built some inside or inbound marketing funnels, which we've actually seen some traffic from. It's pretty cool to get some calls from some big agencies in New York, and they say, hey, we like what you're doing. We're obviously not ready for them yet, but we are going to focus on outside sales. I mean, this is going to be a lot of targeting customers, cold calling, going in, setting up appointments, walking them through a demonstration because we feel like the product really deserves that. It needs a demonstration to help them fully understand maybe the value at first. And then I believe after we build this network up in Tulsa a little bit and people start being familiar with what Offerboxx is, other business owners see the product, we may start getting more inbound requests.
Oh, question in the back?
I think it's actually kind of a good idea. I think a lot of people want to do some kind of reward scheme, but this is a good way to do it efficiently, I think. Completely random question, though. So what is an iPad? Does the iPad have to be placed somewhere, where it can be constantly plugged in so it doesn't lose charge? Or do you have to constantly charge it every 4 hours?
So, we'll have to work with our retailers on this. There are products out there who use tablets in store today, so some loyalty programs, and they require them to be plugged in or require to have Wi-Fi. It all really depends on where the retailer feels like they're going to get the most value out of this tool. So yes, they'll be required to plug it in at night, keep it charged, but it keeps a good charge. We're going to work on products like backup batteries that can actually plug in through the kiosk to extend that time. So yeah, it does require internet access, which we're looking at data plans. Can we provide that instead of requiring them to have Wi-Fi if they don't have good Wi-Fi? But yeah, the hardware has some limitations, but I think we can work through that with retailers and kind of teach them how to use this product.
All right, we have a final question here in the back.
Sorry, I just had one more. I was thinking about all of the times that I've gone to a shopping mall or places, and there's kind of always usually like some shiny car, and then there's like a really like horrible piece of paper where I can write down my information and receive promotions and things like that. Not that I'm comparing your product to that, but I was thinking about in the retail game, it's really hard to get customer engagement. So what are you doing within these stores, whether that is display, the way that where you position your product, how you have the staff sort of sell the product? What are you doing to make sure that people actually use it? And then it seems like the customer engagement, how are you measuring that? You may have already touched on that, but is it more traffic flow to the website? Is it that they will purchase X number of goods? Seems like it could be really sort of qualitative and ambiguous. So I guess my nutshell question is, what are you doing to make sure this is a success, and how are you measuring that success?
So that's a really great question. We put a lot of thought into that, and how we're going to help retailers really make this efficient and effective in their store. So we're working on developing signage that's going to help draw attention to the kiosk. We have the ability to help retailers kind of A/B test these promotions. So what signage works on what days or what position within your store worked better. Through the back end of our system, they'll have access to reporting where if one day they change position within the store, they can measure what was the sign up like, right? Eventually, and these are things we're working towards with our technology, but as we're able to issue coupons or send a link via an email or send a link via text message, track back those links so we know click-through rate, what pages they landed on, and help them really understand that kind of engagement after the point of presence experience. And then really eventually help them tie that loop of, okay, we issued so many deals or coupons or whatever may have happened, and then tie into a POS that says, here's how many people used it, eventually here's who used it, and then help them really understand who of their customers are most loyal and use what and are interested in what kind of products. So.
All right, exciting stuff. So last final question, shouldn't be a surprise to you. What can we as a community, our big brains here in this room, entrepreneurs, advisors, and such, do for you?
Awesome. Well, the first thing we need to continue to do is test the product. I mean, we have spent the last 7 months developing the hardware-software combination solution. So the first thing you guys can do is run around to our kiosk today at the end of the presentation and just sign up. We're actually giving away $50 to any retailer here in Tulsa that you want to spend money at. So local retailer, we'll call them, buy the gift card you choose. And also there is a 10% offer from Foolish Things Coffee. So you guys may have already had some coffee this morning, but if you're interested in more after the event, then you can sign up. We'll text you a deal, and then you can go over there and save 10%. That would be awesome. The second thing we really need from you guys is we're interested in connecting with brands and retailers, agencies, marketing firms here in Tulsa to run a promotion this summer. We'd like to launch 10 stores or more, set up something for about 30 days to really get a larger scale beta that we can understand the value over time and run through maybe the kinks we might get over 30 days. So if you know anybody who would be interested in being a part of that, we're doing that for free. We just want to set it up and test and make sure that everybody's getting what they need out of this. So thanks, guys. I really appreciate you, and hope to see you again soon.
Thanks, Andy.
I know the tweeting questions is a little awkward, so everybody just breathe in and out. We're in a safe space. It's a little uncomfortable, but we're just trying that because we want to keep so the tweets forces you to ask your question in the tweet length, 140 characters. And so we wanted to experiment with, okay, if we ask questions short and you don't necessarily know who they're coming from, can you still give value? So we may try that again. Just bear with us. If you hated it, tell us, but maybe in a nice way. So
Be gentle.
yeah, exactly. Where's the clicker? You got it.
Yeah, I have it.
Go for it.
Okay, so you understand these. Email us if you're not on the newsletter at tulsa@1millioncups.com to get on the newsletter. If you have not presented and you have a cool startup concept, a great artistic or nonprofit venture you're doing, please let us know. We would love, love, love to hear from you and get you guys up here presenting too. If you have presented, we have local cities nearby who would love to have you as well, so let us know. I don't think Jessica's here. Same announcement as the week before. If you are looking for great space, free coffee, copious amounts of Diet Mountain Dew, the Forge is your place that you need to go. They have 2 spots open. So email her at jessica@the tulsachamberofcommerce.com. And if you have an announcement, you can send us an email and we will tuck it in here as well. So real quick, I'm going to have James Lovely give 20 seconds for timing it, not really, to explain a little bit about the event coming.
My name is James Lovely with I2E, and we are hosting an event at Fausner Hall on February 25th. It's kind of the third stop coming out of Startup Weekend. We had the reverse pitch, Startup Weekend, and then our innovation event. We're going to have a keynote speaker, John Real of Arabete Ventures in Houston, and then we'll be taking some presentations from a couple of the companies coming out of Startup Weekend. I've got cards in the back with RSVP information on the table. Pick one up and join us.
And he wanted to have that in bold flashing lights, but there is an open bar, so worst case is come over there for a couple drinks and networking.
This didn't make it into our slides, but we have an event coming today, actually at 11 o'clock at Chimmy's. Is it Chimmy's, Paul? Where's Paul? Chimmy's on Cherry Street. Okay, Paul's presenting next week here at 1 Million Cups, and he's got an awesome company we're going to hear about called crimescene.com. There's a little sneak preview. You can check it out online. But he's hosting an open forum about technology and crime solving, crowdsourcing in Tulsa. So if you want to go to that today, if that interests you, or you want to get a sneak peek about his presentation next week, you're more than welcome at Chimmy's today at 11 o'clock.
Cool. And our beloved SCORE, they're having a Startup Basics workshop this Saturday from 10 to 12:30. You can sign up at, I think it's the SCORE, is it .org? Yes?
I don't know.
Yes? Yes, just Google them.
SCORE.
Who actually puts in a URL now? Just Google it, right? So the Mind, they're now accepting other applications for fellows. Rebecca Butcher's here. You can reach out to her or just go to the Mind website over there. The applications are due July 12th. And the Nova. So Nova is having an innovation competition. So if you are a startup who is making impacts or disruptive technologies and innovations into habitat, sustainable products, advancement materials, renewable energy sources, high efficiency building solutions, you should apply. Apparently it's a short application process and there's 50 grand in it for the winner. So pretty cool. All right, so this is a cool thing where we went to Kansas City back in April, and we got to hear from Kaufman. They opened up our brains and dumped in a bunch of knowledge. And one of the things that we found most compelling was their surveying and their statistical work on the makeup of a 1 Million Cups community, both micro and macro as a whole.
Let me just say something really quick.
Yeah.
If you missed all those announcements and they were too quick or you were confused or you wanted the link, they're all in the newsletter. So if you get the newsletter, they're all there. If you don't get it, sign up for it. But
Yes.
Yes, we get to hear this awesome presentation from 2 guys at Kaufman. They did research on a whole host of companies, and they did surveys, and they did in-depth interviews with people. And what they came up with was really cool. And so we didn't have a second presenter for today, and so we thought we'd like to share this information with you guys to give you kind of a sense of not just what 1 Million Cups means in Tulsa, because if you've come more than once or twice, then you know that this is a cool thing. And maybe if you're coming for the first time, then you think it's a cool thing. But that this is a bigger organization, that there is more impact that we're having. By having this in Tulsa, we're helping create this larger impact. So this is kind of the results of that, a showing of here's what's happening, here's why this is important.
So over 600 respondents. We have 73 1 Million Cups cities currently, so this is out of 58 of those cities. And they just asked a lot of questions about what stage you were in, your funding and financing situation, how many employees you have, your revenue, just to see what kind of makeup 1 Million Cups has. So pretty neat over here. It looks like it's, I'm not going to insult your intelligence. You can go in there and read it. But from a revenue perspective, it looks like there's about half. This is a measurement of how many programs they actually attend. So companies without revenue attend just a little bit more than companies with revenue. And it goes further breaking it down into people who are have full-time employers, and people who have another job versus are full-time engrossed into their own job, which is pretty cool. We'll go over some of the ramifications of these numbers here towards the end. But pretty cool. It even talked about what are the top skills that the entrepreneur has in 1 Million Cups. So these are a lot of the options.
What do you guys think is the top, what do you think are the top 3 skills that entrepreneurs have?
Sales, marketing, management, finance.
Anybody think that's wrong?
Sales, marketing.
Sales and marketing.
All right, all over the place. Anybody else have a third?
Other.
Designer. Other, yes.
Okay.
The catch-all other. All right, so other is the winner. All right. But it was kind of surprising. So on the designer and creative, it's a relatively small chunk. Sales and marketing, that was smaller than I thought it would be. But management and other are the 2 overwhelming sides for it. And
So a good takeaway from this is that if you're not a technical founder, if you're not somebody who designs technology or writes code, that you're still an entrepreneur. You're still a really big chunk of this group of people that come to 1 Million Cups. So that's something good for me because I'm not that.
yeah, pretty cool. Also, similar to national averages, 72% male, 28% female, which is something that we want to change, I think. There's some really cool programs. Coder Chicks, I think, is one in Oklahoma City that tries to get other women into technology and startup type events, which is cool. How about this? This is a cool one. What percentage of companies do you think employ more than just the founder, have actual full-time employees? Percentages?
5, 15,
15?
30.
30? 74. All right, thank you for that widespread. We'll do that. 38% have 1 or more full-time employees, but over 60% of companies have no full-time employees. They are just the founder themselves, so 61.27%, which is pretty neat. Other areas is what stage the companies are in. So in this room, if we're representative of the national averages, then we have a good chunk that are in generating revenue stage, and then similar chunks that are pre-revenue but developing a product, and pre-revenue that have deployed an MVP or some kind of product. There isn't a lot of people in this room, I'd say, that are just at the idea stage that haven't started going through the whole process, which is neat because that's where the rubber meets the road as far as feedback, learning, and such. Last little bit is how many companies are actually making revenue and what revenues they're at. Kind of important, right? So looks like about 30% make less than 10,000 a year, but over 50% make over 50,000 per year, which is, I don't know why they chose that number, but pretty neat. About 10% of us over $1 million grossing a year. Okay, so this is another cool question. What kind of sectors? There's a lot of sectors, of course, and it depends on how you slice everything up. But for the startup communities at 1 Million Cups, what sectors would you anticipate are the most common? Tech and service.
Tech and service. Anybody else think there's a big one?
What? Juice bars. Snow cones. Have you guys thought of snow cones? All right. No.
Cool.
Well, let's see if that's up there, right? All right, so it looks like, yes, IT, communication technology, education, and health are the top 3, but food and restaurant, close behind, and then financial services, a whopping 4%. So there is, obviously, it's not on here, but there's another category that is pretty large. There's more than 15 industries totally represented in the 1 Million Cups startup community, which is cool. So this is kind of neat too. So there's this kind of thought that when you're coming to 1 Million Cups, you are looking for funding if you're an entrepreneur. You're always looking for investors, but really, that's not really the case. You have about 37 who are actively seeking capital, but a good 20% who aren't seeking any capital, about 30% who aren't seeking because they're bootstrapping and will not seek, and then another good chunk of them who have the capital or are not looking for capital for it, which is great. That means investors are welcome. You will not be mobbed. You should come. All right, and then also where they're getting their finances from. You have a whopping 80% who have contributed their own personal savings into it, and then it waterfalls back down from family members, credit cards, close friends, business acquaintances, and this is where these companies are getting funded from.
This is interesting to me because the things that we talk about the most, angel investors, venture capitalists, government grants, crowdfunding, are the smallest percentages on here, right?
So don't wait, right? These are the people who are actually making it happen. They're making it happen by, doing it themselves, asking friends, beg, borrow, steal, grovel, whatever it
It's
takes.
surprising to me that we don't talk about these other funding sources nearly as much in the media and in conversations that I have. It's very interesting to me.
Very cool. Okay, so all of this, neat statistics, it kind of boils down into why we are here, why you guys are here, why presenters come up over here week by week and pour out their heart, show you what they're doing. And we talk about that it's a community of entrepreneurs for entrepreneurs. But I wanted to really convey the Simon Sinek level why of what we're doing is that entrepreneurship is important. It drives the lifeblood of the nation. It is often a lonely, high-stress job or career path, and it's tough. So this is a great support network. But more than that, you have other people who are going through this journey who are thinking like you do. And we want to be an education platform, not a networking service to where we can connect service providers or connect, people who might be customers. It'd be great if, you like us on Facebook or you buy our product, but more than that, we want to really give hard, real, authentic feedback and ways that the entrepreneur up here can improve their business, but also if you're up here and you're giving a refill or you've made it, that you are presenting in a way that benefits the community, this other group of entrepreneurs who are working hard at pursuing their own dreams. So we have a couple little pieces for it, is that we really are interested in real-time feedback. This is an opportunity for me as a presenting company to get pelted with really tough questions, great feedback points. Tim represented that today of good feedback points for us. And then also connecting with people who have a vested interest in your own success. The whole rising tide raises all boats, right? The more people who are successful here, the better we can all grow together. So it lends into kind of what we need and what this, like even the Twitter stuff is an attempt to do, is we want to have harder questions, questions that have really dig deeper than, what color is your logo or, what price is your product. Unless it has a real tangible feedback point for the presenter or something that you are learning as a community, we're wanting to hone in on those questions, right? And then also, if you have a feedback point or you think this idea is crazy, you're not doing the entrepreneur sitting up here any justice by keeping it to yourself. Some of the tough love we give here are some of the best lessons that anybody can learn. So if you have good feedback points, we'd rather you err on the side of authentic feedback than on the nice, kind, and beat around the bush type, right? And then lastly, we are wanting to grow as a community, the Tulsa community. So if you know other people, we always ask who you know, who needs to come over here, bring him over here. We'd love it. And then as a side little bit, we talked about this back in April or May, is that we are looking for other PR channels. So if you have PR networks, anybody at the paper, anybody at a TV station, anybody who'd be interested in coming over here, we want that to be spread across Tulsa to make sure that we can get more people in. And it's not a volume game, it's more of an impact to where we can make a greater impact than we are today.
Yeah, that's what we've got. This is to show, we are actively thinking about this. We're organizers. We've got past organizers here. The word organizer is because we're here to facilitate, not to dictate. So we want to hear what your feedback is on this process, on the changes we've made, coming over here to this building, starting something like Twitter questions. We've started some really cool stuff on weekly. We let presenters who have applied come and pitch their idea to a group of coaches so that they can get feedback before they come up. That was something we recognized as people were getting up on stage without any coaching or any help. And some people were really ready, some people were not. So we're trying to improve incrementally by doing these different things, and we want to hear what you think about it, or if you have an idea for something else, or if you've got a comment on one of these statistics. They're really just to show something that we learned. There's no huge lesson here other than, hey, 1 million cups is a great thing. We like it. You're obviously here for a reason, and we want to hear what that is. So if we could open up for questions. We got about 10, 15 minutes left. We can cut out early, and everybody can meet each other. But we'd love to hear from you if you've got something to say. This is pretty open.
So, yeah, the mission is perfect for me personally. I mean, that's just right on. That's why I'm here. The Twitter feeds this morning, I kind of missed the more personal questions, and because that's part of it too. Is I hear people ask questions, you kind of learn about them. So more of that. Some Twitter I think is okay, but I'd like the personal questions.
We were worried too that people would be distracted, and I kind of found myself being distracted. But sometimes you get somebody who asks a question and it's very long, and then the presenter has a hard time picking out what the actual question was or remembering all the questions within it. So if we limit it, maybe we just need to be more clear about, hey, it'd be great if you asked a question in a very short format. Don't give any background information unless it's very important for the answer. Anyway, something we're trying to learn, so yeah, I think great feedback, thanks. Anybody else have something to say?
At the beginning of this PowerPoint presentation, there's a list of, at the beginning of this presentation, you have a list of survey questions that were asked of the group, I assume, out of Kansas City. Has there been any discussion about doing that survey with the people that are already here in this room?
That would be awesome. The questions were asked of 1 Million Cups presenters in 58 different cities. So some of them were from Kansas City, but the majority of them were not. Yeah, it would be awesome to ask that of the people that have presented here.
But to your point, so you'll see 1 Million Cups website being changed. You're going to see a 1 Million Cups mobile phone app coming out. What they're envisioning is a way to check in to partially gauge attendance, but also be able to connect with and survey the people coming over here to get better analytics, to get better statistics of what is trending, what is working, what is not. Ultimately, from what we heard from them, they want to see ways that they can increase the value of 1 Million Cups and measure that people with startups who come to 1 Million Cups net out better, they're more connected, their companies grow faster, which is awesome. So you'll see in the next month or two a mobile phone app. We'd love for you guys to download that, check in, and we'll talk about that more in depth.
Kaufman in Kansas City is focused on that information. They want to know, but what we, at least my personal goal for this, is to know if you get value out of it. Yeah. Right? Not if the whole room does as a whole. I mean, that's important, but I would rather know individually if people are getting value out of what we're doing so that they can collect the information about, okay, not just in Tulsa, but nationally, what is going on? How is this being an effect? How is the effect manifest? But I'd rather know as a Tulsa organizer, what can we do better to serve you as an individual? How can we make this better? Personal feedback.
Did you say that you have a team of people that meet before the presenters, or did you say you're working on that?
We have a team, and we are adding people as they want to join.
So you have a chance to kind of bloody them up before they come and
present? Yeah, we ask harder questions before. We give them some feedback, not just on the we ask questions like we would at 1 Million Cups. And then we give them feedback on their presentation. You know, hey, you said too many times. You did this. And some of it is not so helpful. Some of it's helpful. But, you know, clearly we're not expert presenters. So we've asked other people that have experience presenting and coaching people to join. So, yeah, if you're interested in joining our weekly coaching session, let us know that too. Anything else? You can just shout it out if you got something else.
Was anybody a fan of the Twitter questions?
Nice.
So there's about half. Okay. So we are going to roll out, like we talked about back in May, a lot of experiments. Some may work, some may not. Bear with us through it. All of it is an attempt to better the value that we get out of this. So I think we're going to try the Twitter questions again and see. Ultimately, I love that it forces succinct question asking. And then also, we as organizers, it's not that we're going to be gatekeepers, but we want to curate the questions that give maximum effect. You know, if I ask questions because my startup is just hiring and I ask only hiring questions and it doesn't provide value to anybody else, then am I really adding value to the community? So.
Yeah, we have a limited amount of time. We want to maximize the amount of stuff we get out of it. Just shout it out. Or not.
You know, for me as an entrepreneur in the Tulsa community, I think the most important thing that 1 Million Cups Tulsa does for me and the community is actually build the community of entrepreneurs. And part of that community is growing the numbers, trying to include as many entrepreneurs as possible. And one of the things that I am really happy about 1 Million Cups is the kind of agnostic nature, that it's not run by a single organization with a certain political stance or anything like that, that it's run by entrepreneurs for entrepreneurs, and you guys are doing a fantastic job keeping it that way. I know 1 Million Cups is kind of founded on that platform of keeping it for entrepreneurs. And I do see great support from the previous organizers like Brad and Tim that are here in the room that continue to be involved even as just audience members. And for me, I want to meet more entrepreneurs. The ultimate goal for me for 1 Million Cups Tulsa is that all entrepreneurs would be actively involved in 1 Million Cups. And I think things like, I think a secondary goal of the Twitter feed and the Twitter questions is potentially including more people in that conversation, so people see that that may not be here physically today, but see those questions, see these are the type of questions that either I want to ask or I want to be asked as a presenter. And seeing that those questions are, like you mentioned, are not the easy questions, you know, what color's your logo, but those questions that really help those entrepreneurs be better entrepreneurs and better business owners that grow their business and build the community and build the economic ecosystem here in Tulsa. So I think you guys are doing a great job, and keep it up, and yeah, you're doing awesome.
We love that. Thanks. The body of questions, I mean, that's an awesome result of it. Like, if we use the same hashtag, we'll have weeks on weeks of different questions. And then one of the side benefits we thought was if the question didn't get answered, or if, like, again, if you weren't able to get to the person's question today, you can go on Twitter and look at the questions people ask, and you can respond to them directly afterwards. You've made that connection now with all these people. You know, it's easy to do afterwards to walk up to people, but you have a limited amount of time. So after the presentation, the presenters get swamped. They might not get a chance to talk to everybody. That's a way for you to connect off, or online, I suppose, offline from this group, and just do it separately.
Also, we're trying to increase engagement for people who can't be here today, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
We're now live streaming. So if you can't make it out, we're live streaming, and you can ask your questions on Twitter, and we will try to get to them.
Yeah, that's a secondary benefit that's kind of cool.
Well, what I appreciate about you guys is that I have learned from you guys those tough questions, those hard questions that you guys have presented. It's taught me how to condense what I have to say and in 6 minutes and get my point across. And the tough questions, also the networking in this room. There's a lot of networking. And if we don't take advantage of that, then, and get the word out through other businesses and other entrepreneurs, then this will be a failure for us. So I think the most important thing that you guys do here is networking, getting people together, getting us together so we can meet each other and know what each other's doing and take an interest and participate. We may not have to visit that person's business every week, every month, but as long as we support each other.
Yeah, organic, spontaneous connections. It's really awesome.
Collisions.
We had one thing that we didn't include from that presentation that I thought was interesting, which was the amount of engagement that you get from people that come to present. So one of the things we talked about a couple weeks ago or months ago when we came back from Kansas City was we're going to focus on not going out and finding presenters, but going out and finding people that we think would be good presenters and then making them jump through hoops to get to us so that we know that they're interested, we know they want to be involved. We don't want these people that come to present and then just never come back because they just wanted to get their business out there. So the big way that Kauffman's measuring this is that people come to 1 million cups early on, and they come a lot. And then when their business starts to pick up, they stop coming. And it's not because they don't get value out of it or because any other reason other than they're just too busy. So they're doing all these things, and then as they start to grow past a certain point, they cycle back, and they want to give back, and they want to share what they've learned. So that's why we started doing things like the refills and having a lot more of those companies come back and say, hey, well, we've been gone for a year. We aren't there every week. We loved presenting. We're interested in 1 million cups. We just think we can come back now with a different perspective. So that's something I liked. What's up? Oh, cups. It's time to go. It's time to leave.
Okay, yeah, so since we're nearing an end, in the spirit of growing the community, who brought somebody today? Albert did. Love it. 2. Tom, you have a cup. All right, there's that. Okay, so again, we have a couple, those announcements are in the newsletter. If you want to reference those announcements, send us an email. We'll send you the newsletter. And then wasn't in the announcement, Paul with Crime Scene has this thing at 11 o'clock, Chimmy's Cherry Street. So thank you guys so much. Oh.
That is Dutch.
Oh, it's Dutch. Cool.
Because of the Midtown alert, we got to talking about that, Ben and I did. And we're just trying to kind of
Get people together.
So next week, who's here for the first time? Anybody? Awesome.
Love it.
We meet every week, 9 a.m. here. There's a potential for us not to be in this space next week, but I think the event that was scheduled is canceled. So just look out for an email or look on the website. We'll figure that out today and get that figured out. But just be on the lookout. If it's not here, it'll be next door in a building or somewhere over there, and we'll tell you where that is, or it'll be at Foolish Things. Just a heads up. And then we are, other than that, here every week. And next week, we're going to have some pretty high technology, really interesting stuff. We've got 2 companies from Oklahoma City, and they're working on starting their own 1 million cups group. So we're going to support them and give them what they need. But really, really excited to hear from Crime Scene and Whisker.io. So come back next week. We'll see you then. And thanks for coming.
Bring a friend, get a mug. Thanks, guys.